This is A View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 29th of October, 2024. My name's Patrick Smith. That over there is David McGempsey. And down below me is Simon Kitchen over the next hour. So we'll be bringing you through all the news and views of the Belfast Giants from the last week and maybe from 20 odd years ago. We're live or on demand on YouTube, X, Facebook, and you listen to us at all the really good podcast platforms. If you join us live, feel free to get involved in the debate using the chat boxes or on whatever platform you choose to engage. The Giants have bounced back from last week's troubles to register a 4-point weekend in league competition. We'll, of course, take a look at those games. Tom McCollum had both starts and will join us for a chat, as will head coach Adam Keefe. We continue chatting to some of the great names of the yesteryear for the Belfast Giants, and this year, the face-off king, Kory Karlander, will be joining us for a bit of a natter and to look back with maybe a story or two. The Belfast Giants have 3 games in the Cup this week, all against Scottish opposition, of course. Johnny Curran, formerly of this parish, now is on the coaching staff, unfortunately for him, of the Fife Flyers. To say, unfortunately, he got an injury. I'm sure he's delighted to be there. But he got an injury. He's now probably rather be playing, but he's now part of the coaching staff. He popped by around 15-20 minutes ago for a bit of a chat, and we'll be sharing that with you, and maybe we'll get a chance to return to the topic we wanted to talk about last week on Enforcers. But let's see how the show goes. Mr. McGempsey, you well?
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm hanging in there. Haven't been too well, but getting better, I think.
What's wrong with you?
I don't want to go into too much detail, Patrick,
Okay, sorry, mate. Sorry.
I'll tell you later in the show.
Nice shirt in the background, mate. You're going for old school as well.
Well, I pulled that out of a massive box. It just happens to be lying beside me because I'm doing a little bit of packing for something. And I thought Kory Karlander, my washing was hanging out there. It was in view, and I went, I can hide that with an old jersey. So I got the one from actually 26th of October 2002. Something happened. This is a jersey from that night that Paxton Schulte wore. So that's one of the
there you go
prized parts of my collection, alongside a Simon Kitchen Castlereagh Knights jersey.
Wow, we all know which one trumps which. How are you doing, Sis?
I am okay, man. It was funny that we were going into this bar for lunch today, and I wasn't paying attention to where I was walking to, and I walked straight into the frame of the door. Nice. Big Gavin Kelly was right behind me with his mum, and of course Laura Small just burst out laughing. And apart from that, I'm absolutely brilliant, but my shoulder's a bit sore at the minute.
I'm just going to see if I can contact the Spar for some CCTV
footage. Yeah, you might be able to get that, absolutely.
Add that on, get that on our socials. Right, Gent, we've got a great show ahead of us, and let's get cracking with the weekend's games. 2 games for the Belfast Giants and 2 wins. A 3-1 win against the Guildford Flames and a 5-2 win in Coventry against the Blaze. A bit of revenge for that. Before we start talking about that game against the Guildford Flames, let's hear what the coaches had to say about it.
I think just the 2 goals that were conceded, I think a minute and a half apart in that first period, put us in a hole. And then obviously, you're chasing a 3-0 scoreline at home, but fair play to the team. I thought the second and third period, they came out and, we threw everything at Belfast. We had a few power plays there and didn't capitalise, and we just couldn't score. But I think, obviously, again, their goalie, I thought he was outstanding, especially the second and third period. And we had a lot of puck possession. We put a lot of pucks to net. We did, we did what we were asked to do. And unfortunately, we just obviously, I know we scored 1, obviously, but we just couldn't, we couldn't break the seal there. And it's tough because I thought the second and third period we played really well. We were on the front foot, but then you look at the negative side of that, and you just can't give up 2 goals quickly like that within a minute and a half, and that's what we did.
I loved our first period. I thought we came out, obviously built ourselves a nice lead. The second period, I thought we had a real pushback coming from Guildford, and that fatigued us a little bit. Third period, we were real fatigued, and we struggled to really get in and break their pressure. That being said, we are short benched, and I thought the guys battled real hard there in our own zone to make sure that we saw out that game and fought off. There's a pretty big onslaught coming from Guildford, and then those power plays, we had some big blocks and guys battling, and Tom was fantastic in net. So obviously, I think that we need to do a better job managing the puck and controlling the game, and I think that'll help us with the fatigue issue that happened there in the third period. But overall, I do love the fact that the guys stuck together and battled there at the end. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of block shots, a lot of commitment to the cause.
Belfast Giants goals from this game came from P.O. Moran, Elijah Barriga and Grant Mismash. The only goal for the Guildford Flames came from Charlie Dodero. And as you heard from the coach there, Tom McCollum was in net. Davey, we'll start with this. That first period, the first 20 minutes of this game, the Belfast Giants were outstanding.
Yeah, I think we've talked on the podcast over a number of weeks, and it's always the mantra in hockey about starting well. We different coaches have said over the last lot of months about starting on time, and I thought we did just that on the night. Obviously, they came up with a couple of big chances at the start. Ryan Tate had a breakaway chance that Tom McCollum saved. That we'll go on to talk about Tom a wee bit more. I've maybe gone over the top with my hyperbole about him. I think he's just superb. He has been since day one. Yes, there's a few goals that every goalie would like back over the course of a season, but what was it? Says or you? I was talking to at the weekend, and he's so well positioned that he looks like he's playing in slow motion because he's got time to make saves because his positioning is so strong. He's a very active goalie. He's always playing the puck. He's not one to take an unnecessary face off just by holding it in. He'll play it out into the corners and let the D-man handle it. He's very quick around the back of his net and trying to get that puck back up the ice to start plays as well. But, we got goals, a little like just very, very good time there. These garbage goals, secondary chances, with shots in from the points, guys getting in front. Mark Cooper just being a pest in front of the net, using that big body, screening goalies, getting secondary opportunities for us. 2 goals almost exactly the same. There's one in Coventry as well. Big bullet comes in. I can't remember, maybe Josh Roach. Play back from Barriga to Josh Roach, who hammers one in. Mark Cooper standing in front of the net. And can't remember now. It's probably JJ Pickens. He got a hat trick. So chips in with the goal. Really expected a big pushback. I'll let Sis come on this. Expected a big pushback from the Guildford Flames coming into that second period on home ice, and it came. But the headline story is that we were able to see them out and come away with the win.
That's it, Susan. You heard that from Adam Keefe there, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later in the show when he comes on. But the guys at times, Guildford came back into this game, and it felt the guys there were a lot of shots being blocked. There was a lot of dealing with what Guildford had to bring. And ultimately, that's what happened. We dealt with Guildford. They got their goal, but the Giants were able to take what they got in the first period, capitalize on it, and take the 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, when we look back at the week before, we lost 2 games against Coventry and Nottingham. And I know that the boys were disappointed. We talk about the game against Nottingham with 5-1. And Adam, I remember Adam saying at the time it wasn't a 5-1 game, and it wasn't. I mean, we just a couple of laxical moments and concentration. We're down a couple of goals. Obviously, power play playing a big point in that. But this past weekend, our special teams were really good compared to what they were last weekend. I know Adam and the boys worked very hard on it during the week. And when you get those bounces, little lucky bounces go your way, you just feel that you're getting that little bit of luck. And obviously the goal for Barriga, great pass inside by Collins, and Barriga just tries to make a move. Good toe save by the goaltender, and then obviously the defense can falling through and it comes off a skating into the net, and that gives you a 2-goal lead. You heard Paul Dixon talking about 29 seconds, 2 goals, and that does hurt. It really does. But we didn't sit back, and we basically tried to keep going. 3 lines versus the full squad that the Guildford Flames have, and they've got speed. Davy was there, obviously, and Ryan Tate, who is probably one of the quickest players in the league. When he gets on his horse, he's hard to catch. But I thought we stuck with a game plan. We basically kept moving our feet. We did our, really important from defensive side of things that it was the full team playing defense, and it wasn't just everybody depending on the 2 guys at the back with a goaltender. Tom was brilliant. I mean, I think Davy's wholeheartedly right. We had a good chat about it, and it was either on Saturday night or on Sunday. At one point, I had a conversation about him, but he doesn't flap. His positioning's that good that he doesn't need to make the spectacular save, if you know what I mean. And whatever he does, it just sort of seems that he's in the mode and he's so focused on what he's got to do. Sort of reminds me a bit more of Besko, but Besko was so relaxed with regards to nothing bothered him. Tom does get like that as well, but I just thought we looked really, really good. I thought, again, I do think we got tired, and that's understandable playing 3 lines against 4 that the Flames had. But overall, I thought we deserved the win, and it was great to get back in the win column after the previous weekend.
What was the atmosphere like down by the bench, Davy?
Got to be careful how I put this across, because I spoke to Simon about it as well. There was obviously a big tribute to Adam Johnson before the game, very impeccably held the 47-second clap and stuff. It kind of took a lot of energy out of the building. It had been building for sort of 45 minutes or so. You know, the crowd coming through the doors, a lot of anticipation. Obviously, 5 ex-Belfast Giants in the team. You know, they're not having a great run at the minute. They're hoping for a good thing. And by the way, I thought Daniel Tedesco, some of the passing range from him on Saturday night there, even in the highlights watching back there's 2 plays that are just like the speed of his hands is just unreal. But the oxygen sort of got sucked out of the building a wee bit, and it started quite flat. And the Belfast Giants definitely took advantage in that first period of a less, you know, electric building to jump in that lead. But yeah, it's obviously, you know, they got to go back and you know, then the crowd get involved in it. But overall, I thought the Belfast Giants controlled. Good little away crowd from the Belfast Giants as well. Some people that I haven't seen for many, many years. And Lillian and Randy were there as well. Lovely to get a cuddle from both of them, all the way from Toronto, seeing Mark for what was his 200th game in the tail uniform on Saturday night. And he was excellent as well over the course of the weekend, a real captain's performance at times.
A 3-1 win for the Belfast Giants. The highlights are available, of course, on Flames TV. You can find that on YouTube. We move on to the game that took place up at the Sky Dome, a 5-2 win for the Belfast Giants. Let's hear from the coaches of both the Blaze and the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, I thought early in the game our stick battles were not so good, and we weren't as hard into the battle as we wanted to be. And then there were just different momentum points that we couldn't seize, like we didn't put one in the power play. You know, and then that first shift coming out of the gate, we were awesome, and that could have tied the game, and we just didn't find a way to put it in. So, you know, it was a tale of momentum, and then eventually they were able to pull away.
Yeah, I love the way we started the game for sure. We built ourselves a lead. Second period, we knew that Blaze were going to push back. You know, they've been coming back a lot from behind, and we knew that. And, you know, they looked like they were going to do it again there. So it was great there going into the third period. Not the way we wanted to start with third period with a 2-on-1 against right off the face-off, but Tom was huge, made a big save for us, and then that allowed us to kind of regain some composure, and then we went down and got a goal of our own there to give us a little bit of insurance, and I thought that gave us a little bit of confidence and a little bit more composure to see out that rest of that game. Obviously the penalties didn't help, but our penalty kill was huge, and 2 big power play goals, so you can't complain.
Belfast Giants goals in that game came from Conway, a hat-trick for JJ Piganich, and the goal for Bo Hansen. For Coventry Blaze, the goals came from Gressok and Jurgens. Tom McCollum got the start in this game as well. Sis, I'll start with you on this. You know, again, we saw the way that the Coventry Blaze were able to have that energy to claw themselves back into a game. We went ahead in this game, and Coventry tried to get back into it.
Yeah, and at one stage I thought they were going to do it as well. You know, you're up a scoreline, and over the last couple of weeks we've sort of coughed up a couple of goals that are, I don't want to say uncharacteristic, but you know, when we play that type of hockey that you take chances and you just offensively minded defensemen and forwards as well, and obviously, you know, getting the go ahead goal, JJ and Scott Conway. You know, there's been a few question marks of their play this year. So people just need to pipe down. They're two quality players. Two quality players. They're always going to come to the fore. And it was great to see JJ get the hat trick, and obviously Colin's got a goal as well. So Briga, basically doing what he does in that line, and which is contributes, scored the night before. A really successful weekend for number 12, 10, and 91. But I just thought we played. I thought overall the weekend, I just thought we played solid in both ends of the ice. Tom was really, really good again on Saturday night. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's his first back-to-back games this season. And obviously Adam's been going with West one game and Tom the other. I thought it was the right decision. I thought that Adam, obviously with Tom's game on Saturday night against Guildford, when he was just outstanding. And then obviously coming up again on Sunday and pull off a number of really important saves at really crucial times. And just give us that opportunity to win. And overall, I just thought that it was another good team performance. I just thought we stood up and we were counted. And again, the Blaze come back into it at points. But just a really important time coming in there for start of the third period. And obviously getting that goal at the start of the third was really, really important. But as I say, two really good team performances. And great to get 4 points in the league this weekend.
Davy, again, you were by the bench on this one as this went on. I thought JJ was excellent. As Sis said, Briga was excellent, I thought, but JJ getting his hat-trick was wonderfully deserved.
I'll have to give Taff a shout. We went out for lunch on Sunday. We were talking about the game, and we said, and Taff's like, somebody's going to have a hat-trick tonight. Somebody's going to have a hat-trick. And we said, well, who? I went for Scott. And Taff went, no, JJ hat-trick tonight before the start again, 4 or 5 hours before face-off. So Mystic Taff, fair play to him on that. 4 points for Scott. Briga played very well with him. Grant one of the goals. I think Mismatch was out for one of the goals as well. Really strong performance all round. I was almost, Adam probably doesn't know this. He had to play a little bit more short bench than he needed to. I was almost playing myself. Doesn't know this story. So something happened Sunday afternoon. My health issue, I took a really, really bad allergic reaction to something I had. Like really bad, like I looked like I'd been sunburnt. It was awful, big highs, wasn't in a good way at all. The physio girl took me over to the EMTs to see if they could get me sorted out. Chatted through, what have you eaten? What's happened? Have you taken any medication? Blah, blah, blah. So I wasn't very well. My blood pressure and all gone. I was sick. And he says, Vic, I think you should tell the coach you can't play. So that's as close as I ever got to being a Belfast Giant. The physio went, no, and I went just. That's enough.
You should have told him. You should have told him.
So it was.
Sorry, Coach.
Sorry, Coach can't play tonight. But no, I wasn't needed. Thankfully. But really, really strong performance again. I'm going to say about Tom. Talked about him in the Guildford game. I've said about that just being so well in position all the time. It looks like you've got time to make saves that other goalies are scrambling for. Real steady and influence at the back. Expected pushback from Coventry, of course, after the first period, and it came, and we were able to really weather that storm well and go on and score that swashbuckling style that we've got, that sort of hard forecheck all over the ice, dependable back check, guys coming up with big goal from Bo Hansen at the end as well, just to really seal the deal at the weekend. A really, really nice performance from us. I was really, really pleased with. Hey, you're never sick with 4 points, but 2 nice performances.
Says to come back, to say 2 nice performances, to come back the way we did, given that we had a 0 point weekend the weekend before, to have that sort of drive momentum, that drive sort of mentality to bounce back quite convincingly. Very pleasing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, don't forget, when we played last week, Coventry went into our building and beat us. And a game that, we absolutely dominated in the first period against them the week before. But Coventry have a really good team this year. They beat Manchester, I think it was the night before, away. And they've got a solid team right the whole way throughout the lineup. But as I keep saying, we've got a really good team. We're not even, we're missing 4 or 5 imports from the games of the weekend. You're playing short bench. Guys are getting minutes on top of what they normally play. And, as I said to Mark Cooper last week, it does get difficult when you're playing 22, 23 minutes instead of, say, 18 or 19. It does add up on you. And, obviously with Kieran Long dropping back and playing defence with Cameron Pine, enabled us to play 3 full lines. We picked up. I thought that the penalty situation on Sunday night, we probably got. I think our penalties. I don't want to say they're lazy, but they're penalties that basically you wouldn't normally take, but guys are tired and you're maybe just making a little bit of a lax move and not being there, getting to the puck as quick, and that's why penalties were called. But when we were 100% on the power play, did we? Remember 100% on the power play against the Coventry Giants on Sunday night, and again really solid defensively from the whole squad. It was a really good team performance on Sunday, and I know that Adam and the coaching staff were very, very happy with the play.
Go on, Davy. One more thing before we move it on.
One thing, I suppose, I have to mention one wee statistic: the 1500th game in competition play for the Belfast Giants. We've obviously played 50, 60 exhibition games or whatever, but in games in anger, 1500 games for a club that would never last 20 plus years ago, win our 25th season now. You know, it's on the wall in the arena. They said it wouldn't last. 1500 games and a fantastic win ratio by everyone involved, and it's something we're very, very proud to have represent our city.
And something no doubt we will come back to later in the show when we're talking to Kory Karlander. Right, the highlights in this game are available, of course, from our good friends at Blaze TV. You can listen to Ed and Stu get stuck into this one. Right, we have three guests coming up. We'll have Adam Keefe and Kory Karlander, the aforementioned. But those two players also have something in common with the first guest. They all played for the Grand Rapids Griffins in the AHL, the feeder team for our own Davy Detroit Red Wings. And this guy got to put on that Red Wing suit. Please welcome back to your view from the bridge, the goalkeeper for the Belfast Giants, Tom McCollum. How are you doing, Tom?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Turn your phone 90 degrees.
Yeah.
It'll put it. There we go.
There we go.
That's out with us. As we normally do at this point, give us you've got both starts this weekend. Give us your reflection on how the weekend went.
I think the weekend went great. I think really from top to bottom, I don't think there's a single guy on the team who should be disappointed with their weekend. You know, it was just real solid efforts from start to finish. And, you know, that really showed in resulting in us picking up 4 points.
You got the both starts this weekend. Obviously, you and Jackson have been rotating and rotating relatively successfully. But it must be good to get that bit of momentum between the sticks and get both those starts.
Yeah, it's definitely nice. You know, I'm always somebody that's enjoyed playing a lot more. So obviously, getting back-to-back starts was very rewarding, and you know, I was happy to be able to play well on both nights.
How have you been settled in, Tom? Obviously, you've got around a few of the rinks now. You've seen Manchester, you've seen Coventry. It'll not be a surprise for you next time you go back. You've seen Sheffield, you've seen Nottingham as well. So, how's it been going for you?
I think it's been going well. Honestly, I think for some reason I have to figure out how to play at the SSC a little bit more than on the road. But you know, it's been good. I've been fortunate. You know, nothing's really caught me off guard. Wiss has been a great help with that. You know, give me little tips on what to expect as far as on the ice in some of the buildings, which I think makes it a little bit easier. That way, when you get out on the ice, it's not as big of a shock. You know, whether it's the different pegs that come off a little bit easy in some of the different buildings, or Coventry, you know, not necessarily being the brightest building I've ever played in. So it's nice to just kind of know that ahead of time, so you don't, you know, get out on the ice and you're like, what the heck's going on? You can kind of mentally prepare yourself for it and just focus on the task at hand.
Do you want us to try and organise one of the little miners lights for the helmet for the next game in Coventry? Because it is, I mean, it's the same as Dundonald. Donald, obviously, the lighting in Dundonald isn't great, so that probably prepared you a little bit better for Coventry than what you probably thought it would have done in the outset, Tom.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have to give full credit to the lighting at Dundonald for having me feel fully comfortable when I got to the arena there, and you know, it really helped us do well.
I want to get in before these two above me start going fanboy about the Detroit Red Wings. But what's your thoughts on the overall standard in the Elite League?
I think the standard's great. we've had some real high quality hockey in every game we've played, and really for the most part, every game has been very competitive. We've had a few games where we ended up winning by big margins, but if you actually go back and look at some of the small details, it's a lot closer game than the scoreboard even reflected. And I think that makes it a lot of fun. You show up to the rink every night knowing that you have to be at your best in order to win, and that makes it a fun challenge.
Interesting you say about the darkness in Coventry. Obviously, that would be a real issue for goalkeeping. I can't even think if Adam played in Whitley Bay in Newcastle. Do you remember Whitley Bay says? And
Yes,
how dark it would be in that rink. Like every time you turned up, it was like there's no visibility whatsoever. So it must be like trying to attune yourself to that. Does it take a bit of time?
It takes a little bit. Fortunately, obviously warm-ups definitely helps with that. And like I said, a lot of it too is just from talking to Wiss and some of the other guys that have been around the league, and just having that heads up. That way you can kind of mentally prepare yourself, and you're not dealing with that shock at the same time as you're trying to figure out how to see a black puck in we'll say not well lit room.
Tom, let's talk quickly about away from the ice. How's things been going for you in Belfast? Settled in well? Everything you expected to be? More than what you wanted it to be?
Yeah, so far everything's been great outside of Belfast. My family's settling in. My daughter's a big fan of Helens Bay. She loves going to the beaches and finding rocks, and so far it's been great. We've really enjoyed it.
Oh, says you get one?
Me? Oh, sorry, I'm sleeping here. Tom, obviously going into this weekend, we've got 3 games up. Big game tomorrow night against the Glasgow Clan, and then 2 more games at the weekend. 3 games at home. You talk about, you want to play more at the SSA Arena. I'm sure you're probably going to get your chance in the next 5 or 6 days. But the next one up is the one most important one, in the Glasgow Clan. We owe them one after the last game we played in Glasgow.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a very good hockey team. We've seen it firsthand in the 2 games we've played them before, so we know we're in for a tough test tomorrow. I think we're fortunate that we played really well this past weekend, and we kind of only really had like 1 day off in between the games, so you kind of stay in that rhythm, and our plan is just kind of keep that rolling into tomorrow night and get the result we want.
As you can see, we brought up over in that far corner the logo of the Grand Rapids Griffins going, and obviously that's something you have in common with our next guest, which is Adam Keefe, and the guest after that, which is Kory Karlander. It shows you what a small community it can be at times. But is there a solidarity when you play for clubs like that?
Definitely, especially Grand Rapids. I mean, I'm sure those 2 guys will tell you as well. Like, I can't say enough great things about that city and the experience there. And obviously, being affiliated with Detroit, they take very good care of you there. So it's definitely a bit of a brotherhood. Even though I obviously played with Adam there for a little bit, and I've met Kory there in the locker room several times. So it's definitely a little bit more camaraderie when you share an experience of playing in a great place like that together.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Tom, we really appreciate you coming and joining us this week, and good luck this weekend coming, and we'll chat to you, no doubt, as the season goes on.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Big thanks to Tom McCollum for joining us here on A View from the Bridge. We're going to quickly move on to another former Grand Rapids Griffins player, and that is, of course, the head coach of the Belfast Giants, Adam Keefe. How are you doing, mate?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
Not
Talking
too
about
bad.
a room that's darkly lit.
I know.
Is the electricity off in Ben Gormley?
We're trying. You know what? It's coming up on Christmas season, and you got to save some money.
You, Coach, you must be happy the way that the lads bounced back this weekend.
Yeah, I was. I was listening there in the background, and I heard Simon talking about how I was talking about the fact that the Nottingham game, not quite a 5-1 game. The Coventry game at home kind of shot ourselves in the foot there. So I mean, there's a lot of good things about that weekend, and that's hard to say when you come away with 0 points. But we knew that, like, if we take care of some of the little details and we're a little better defensively, and our special teams came through, it's a different story. And I think that's what we saw this weekend.
You see the way that the Coventry players, we spoke about them last week, about how they crept back into the game and they were able to have that energy. They're quite a youthful team. They've got a lot of those sort of first year pro players going, and they started to creep back into the game in Coventry on Sunday. But we were able to stand firm against that. Are they a team that flattered to deceive in Coventry, do you think?
Yeah, they remind me a little bit of Guildford a few years ago, where you almost kind of kept waiting for them to fall off in the league title, and then they just hung around for the entire season. It took us to the very last weekend to overtake Guildford. Coventry has something going on there, that's for sure. Obviously, their goaltender's playing real well. Their special teams have been fantastic throughout their league campaign. I think they had the best power play and the best kill, at least up until the weekend there. And they just seem to, always find themselves coming back into games. Or I would be lying if I say I wasn't a little bit concerned there when they got the second goal. But it was nice for our guys to kind of see out that game and ultimately take control of it there in the third period. And I think that was a real confidence booster for the group as well.
Coach, you must be quite looking forward to coaching a healthy roster. It's been a year now that we've been talking about luck and injuries and stuff, but it's a fact. We talked there during the piece about playing short benched again and guys playing more minutes than they would like to. But there must be hopeful light at the end of the tunnel for you.
Yeah, like I said, I've always been not a fan of the injuries, but a fan of a little bit of adversity early on in the season. But we feel like we've been up to our eyes in adversity here. And just in terms of the injuries, just feels like they never stop coming here. And then you're doing the roster checks for other teams sometimes, and they're at full strength, and you're wondering what's going on here. But it is what it is. We have to take the hits as they come. And that's the real key to the team sometimes can be your depth. The ability for Kieran Long to step in on defense and patch that hole and do a great job. And other guys to just fill spots wherever they be, or maybe play a different type of role. That's what you need if you really want to win. You need guys, everybody adding value wherever you put them. And I thought that the guys did a good job this weekend. Obviously, like I said, we've known that Kieran Long's a little bit of that sticking plaster whenever we need him. So sometimes in the games he's the one telling me, I think you need me on D. So he gets it, and you really need that when you're under fire, I guess, with these types of injuries. What the guys are doing a good job of just getting on with it.
Adam, I want to talk to you about the obviously Tom at the weekend played back-to-back games for the first time in competitive action this season, and obviously you've got Jackson there as well. Coming into the weekend just passed against Guildford and Coventry, and these are two buildings that are they're historically they're all tough to go into. And coming out with the 4 points after the previous weekend, it must have felt good both for the players and the coaching group.
Yeah, it was good. A couple of beers were had after the game. No, it was a good time. Obviously this early in the season, how excited we are about the group to go into a weekend like last weekend and get nothing out of it. It was a kind of a wake-up call for the group, I think, the coaching staff, the group, the players, everybody involved, that we're in this thing now. We got to pull ourselves out of it. And I thought the guys, like I said, they did a great job. And going into a weekend like going into Guildford and Coventry, two tough buildings to play in. I heard you guys talking about the fact that Guildford's got 5 Giants. That my experience is when you play somebody who's played for you, that they always have a little bit of pep in their step. They want to be the difference in that game. So, there's always that added threat there. But I thought our guys did a pretty good job in managing. Obviously, I think the first game against Guildford, it put us under some real fire there. Tom was great. For whatever reason, we seemed to gas out in that game. But I thought on the Sunday, we did a much better job controlling the pace of the play in that game, even despite a little bit of Coventry's pushback there.
We'd mentioned, Paddy was mentioning earlier to Tom about the Grand Rapid, and obviously you can see the logo up here above Davy, who's not paying attention as usual. Sorry, Davy. And our next guest, you obviously played with Tom in Grand Rapids. And our next guest, Kory Karlander, another Grand Rapids player. What's so special about Grand Rapids and then Belfast?
You were in the same roster as Kory Karlander at one point. 06, 07.
Same year, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't remember that far back.
That's very true, Simon. But also, I was probably sent up and down 100 times that year. So, and I probably had about 35 fights. So there's not, the old memory takes a little beating that year. But no, I do remember playing against Kory in Kalamazoo. More so, probably, I remember playing against him while Darryl Lloyd was playing there, chasing Darryl Lloyd around the ice. So you can ask him about playing with that little rat. But no, I think I looked at it there, and I think Kory played before he had played in Grand Rapids. He played in Belfast, and then he went back to North America and then came back to Belfast. So a much different experience for him, having done it the opposite way around. But yeah, I know I came here straight from Grand Rapids, and like I said, I loved my time in Grand Rapids, as Tom had said there. Quality organization, great arena. They sell out the building. Everything about them is first class. So that's why, I was a little surprised when I came over here, and Belfast was as good as it was. I wasn't expecting that. And to go from even that first year with me being super impressed with the fans, the arena, the city, to where we are now is pretty special. 25 years on, obviously, there's been a lot of growth in the team, and it's great to see.
3 games this week, Coach, all against Scottish opposition. The Clan obviously took that win against us. How's prep going, and what are you expecting from the boys coming into these 3 cup games?
Yeah, I'm still kind of going through the prep right now, to be honest. Yeah, it's a quick turnaround going from Saturday, Sunday, traveling all day Monday basically to get home, and then you have a little recovery / skate today, and then back at it tomorrow, and then we'll have a little rest on Thursday, practice Friday, and then we got Saturday, Sunday coming up. So it's no rest for the wicked here, and obviously with only 3 lines, it'll be a tough task for the boys, but they understand what's at stake, and every game we want to win. So I expect us to be good tomorrow. I expect Glasgow to be good as well. I think they had a 1-game weekend, so they should be well rested, and they're just on our heels there in the Challenge Cup standing. So I'm going to expect their best tomorrow for sure.
Coach, listen, we always appreciate you joining us and spending time and chatting this here in the View from the Bridge. Good luck this week.
No problem, guys. You have a good one.
Big thanks, of course, to the head coach of the Belfast Giants, Adam Keefe. Right, let's crack on. You've heard his name a number of times. We're delighted to welcome him here on A View from the Bridge. As we look back over the 25 seasons, we go all the way back to the very beginning. A man who was a bit of a face-off king here in Belfast for many, many years. And we're delighted to welcome Kory Karlander to the show. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing great, guys. How about you?
Good, doing very well. We're having a lot of Grand Rapids Griffins love on the show this week. We'll start off. You were in the background there. I saw a big smile on your face when Adam Keefe brought up Darryl Lloyd and chasing him around. Give us what your thoughts were when he was talking about that.
Yeah, Darryl Lloyd was kind of short on hockey intelligence and big on spirit and grit and willing to stand up for anybody on the team. And I think I played for him for at least 1 year, if not 2. I had just come back from Odessa, Texas, playing 2 years in Odessa. Mm-hmm. And that first year I played with him along with the rest of the team. We ended up making it all the way to the championship round against the Anchorage Aces, and they just had as good as we were. They had a really good team, but yeah, Loiter was a character for sure.
Of another player who's very much well loved here in Belfast is Darrell Lloyd from his time here. But we're not here to talk about Darrell Lloyd. We're here to talk about Kory Karlander. Let's take you back all the way back to that time. We've spoken to, you know, last week we had Colin Ward on. We've spoken, who was before, Mark Cavlin. We're picking up a lot of the guys to look back at, you know, 25 seasons that have gone by. What do you recall about that first season? When you think back to that first season of the Belfast Giants, what's your first thought?
I think it was really special. It was my first time playing in Europe. I remember coming over and having kind of a milk run of flights to get there. I remember wanting to take a nap in the London airport before Paxton Schulte and Wisp came to pick me up, and I fell asleep with an arm through one hockey bag that was a hockey bag and clothing, and another one, and felt safe enough to go to sleep and still figure I might keep my luggage from being stolen. I think the biggest thing for me, a couple of the biggest things from that first season that made it really special. You got Dave Whistle, who I remember having phone conversations with him, and there being a tie with somebody in Milwaukee, and I'd spent some time called up from the East Coast League to Milwaukee, but Whis just being a super laid back, honest, tell it how it is coach, and just the fact that he recruited the person first. He obviously wanted good players, which we had, but his first question about me and probably everybody else on our team was kind of checking to make sure that they were good people first and foremost, good teammates. And as it turned out, I don't know if you guys know this, but every single player on that roster, except for maybe somebody that came late, and I can't remember who, weren't just Canadians, but they were all Western Canadians. And that was really cool. I don't imagine that'll ever happen again, but we didn't have the success in the playoffs that season as we did 2 years later when we ended up winning the cup. That was also a special year, but yeah, the first year that's one of the biggest things that stands out to me. And when I tell people, they're like, "That there's no way," and yeah, there was. I mean, it was all Canadians and all Western Canadians, and of course, there's a lot more, but that's one thing that really stood out.
Kory, one of the roles that I have within the organization is I keep a lot of statistics and historical data. And just when you say about, you know, your first time in Europe, I'd made a few notes earlier on when we were prepping. Obviously, you joined the team. The team was actually traveling to Sweden for a bit of a pre-season friendly. 3 games were played. You scored in that very first game. You hadn't trained with the team. You got out there, scored. Then you scored our very first ever competitive goal. You scored our first ever game tying goal to take us into shootout, which you scored in. And then you scored our first ever overtime winning goal. And then you got selected for the All-Star team. That's not a bad start to your first couple of months in the Giants.
Yeah, it was fun. And so my grandfather on my dad's side actually moved from Sweden to Canada when he was 18. He moved to British Columbia. He got a job in the in forestry, in logging, and actually, sad part of the story is he got his leg pinched off. He was 18. He came over on his own and got his leg pinched off from the cables that pull the fallen trees up and down the mountain when they're logging them. And so then he ended up becoming, he had a prosthetic leg, and he ended up becoming a home builder, a builder, and he would take his prosthetic leg off when he was framing out houses and put it back on when it was time to go home. So there was a little tie. That trip to Sweden, the last time I was, and only time I was ever in Sweden was when I was 7 years old. I went over for a Karlander reunion along with my dad, my grandpa, my uncle, who played in the NHL with the Red Wings through the late 60s and early 70s. So that was kind of a cool way to start. And the funny thing is, it was the first time I ever had like a 2-piece stick, graphite and wood stick. And I remember that first goal because it was maybe the hardest shot a slap shot, which I'm wrist shoot much more. I've got a quicker release and more effective wrist shot than a slap shot. But it was funny because I ended up at the top of the blue line and let a one-timer go, and it went bar down. And then nobody on our team ever saw a shot that hard from me from the rest of that season or the season following a couple years later.
But your career went, and I don't mean this in a disparagement, on and on. You played until you couldn't play anymore, because just for the love of the game.
Career.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, and the nice thing about it was, and part of the reason why, I had to be told I wasn't playing anymore, not my own decision necessarily, is just because some of the last handful of years of my career and parts of 18 seasons, not 18 full, but close to it, was just that I was lucky enough to have success in that latter third of my career, which was great. I got going to Odessa, Texas was great. And I had my first year there was good. The second year wasn't good enough to get another contract. But then I came back to Kalamazoo, where I had played parts of 4 seasons already and ended up being runner-up for MVP of the East Coast Hockey League that first season of 3. And then it was 2 more. And then that's when I retired. So I don't think I would have played that long if I didn't continue to produce and contribute like I did. But I was lucky enough to do that for the most part of the last, like I said, third of my career.
Kory, we're looking back, as I say, over the last 25 years. We're all fans, and obviously I work for the club now. Davy does all the stats. We all do the podcast, and Dave Paddy's just saying there we're approaching a milestone in our podcast history as well. And over that time, when you look back 25 years ago, did you think, and obviously the ISL was coming to an end, and we then turned into the EIHL. Yeah. Did you think that this club would last that amount of time?
First of all, when you reached out and you said 25 years, I had to, like many, I guess, was like, no way, it couldn't have been 25 years ago, the first season. But so that was kind of shocking, and time flies. We know that life goes by quicker than you imagine. But the answer is yes, because I've never, ever, it was on one side of the coin, it was a really rough first season because we were on the road for so long, but we could also tell that everybody from construction workers to the front office were putting everything into it to get it done. And then coming out for that first game with the arena absolutely packed and how loud it was. And then, I came back and trying to get back to the AHL, the season after the inaugural season, and to come back and to have it still just as full and excited and loud. Yes, I'm not surprised that Belfast is still going strong. And then you look at the coaches that have been there, from Keefe back to who was one of my, I got my cheat sheet here. Killer.
Killer.
Right? So yeah, I'm not surprised at all that it not just survived, but is doing really well.
And obviously, you just mentioned there about the long road trip before we headed into the Odyssey Arena and now the SSE Arena. But you started the game. You were in the starting lineup that night, alongside Todd Goodwin and Jeff Hode, and coming out to get the first face-off in our building, which again would now for getting in their 25th season. What's your memories of the do you have any memories of your first shift?
I do. I remember being excited about being in the building. I remember we knew just because everybody, it was hard not to know that it was going to be a sellout. I don't remember taking the first draw, but I love taking face-offs, obviously. So that was a big honor. And I just remember, both seasons, every single home game being just awesome, full of excited fans. I remember coming back my second year, which, there was a year back in North America in between them, and them having made foam fingers that said Kory's back on it. And I I've never had I guess I've had a bobblehead now in Kalamazoo with another teammate, but just that kind of stuff where the fans just were all great. I mean, it was fun to get to know the fans and be close to them. And it was just all in all, the first game, there's a lot of build up for sure. And it was great.
We have some footage of some of what's the word? The excitement, some of the you were like superstars at that time, you look at the footage that we're showing now and you guys signing on the bridge, the queue that night, I remember it well. The queue that night wrapped all the way around the building. It was so exciting. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. It's fun me seeing there's Hoder right there. Seeing everybody in that line, that brings it back for sure. Wow, that's really cool. I got a couple texts with video feeds just prior to getting on, and but that was the first time there's Ferroni.
there was a tough guy. There was a tough guy.
Yeah. He is. I actually played with him in Raleigh, North Carolina, for part of a season, and he was a character. Lots of stories about him.
Some that we maybe shouldn't share.
There's a lot that we can't share.
There's because I remember you also won that season. You won one of the prizes at the end of season dinner. Was it the player's player or was it? I can't actually remember what.
I believe it was the MVP.
Was the MVP for the season?
I believe so, because I remember the following year it was the young defenseman Robbie Sandrock.
That's right.
Yeah. I think that was right there. I'm not 100% sure, but
I was watching this video earlier on, and the one thing that got me is Todd Kelman's facial hair, which really entertained me. But they say you went back to North America and then you came back. What brought you back?
Just everything Belfast. I mean, it was just a really unique, special experience, both hockey wise and just culture wise. I mean, living on an island, every time you travel, it's a boat, a train, a bus, maybe at least once, all three. So, I mean, it was easy to come back. It was hard to leave and really easy to come back.
One of the things we always do, especially at this time of year, is the 26th of October 2002 may not be a date that basically jumps out at you, Kory, but it's a date that jumps out at us. And it was you were part of that, or you were part of the organization. You were back with the team at that. It was the night of Paxton and Barry Nykar against the Nottingham Panthers and all the froy that happened down in the corner. You weren't on the ice, Kory. What happened to you? I know what happened.
What happened to me on the ice?
In that game? What happened to you in that? Well, I was going to say to Davy. What happened to Kory Karlander in that game?
This is actually Paxton's jersey from that night of the 26th of October. Unbelievably, what's this? 29th of October, 3 days, 22 years ago tonight, or at the weekend there. Kory had already got the first use of the hot water that night. He had been ejected from the game. And I remember reading at the time the interview. He got threw out for spearing, I believe, And
Really?
I think you'd said at the time the spear wouldn't have broken a box of eggs, but Nottingham got the stick and broke the stick on their bench, and they were going to use it as evidence and all this kind of thing. So it started I don't hate very many things in my life, but I hate the Nottingham Panthers.
Right. Right.
So just are we trying to say that Kory started all this?
He started it, yeah.
So the whole thing started to build from Kory Karlander being ejected from that game.
Yeah,
second
I
period.
think I might remember that. I remember being under a pile going down. I think I might have stepped on a stick. And at the time, that was when all the one pieces were coming out, and they were very expensive. And I think that's how that might have stopped. Stepping on a stick. I don't know if it broke or not, but then there was a melee right in front of their net, I believe, after that.
Yeah, it's one of those nights. It's one of those nights, Kory, that as fans and longtime fans as we are, that we always, because you think about what the organization was and the couple of years that we'd had, and we'd never really had that sort of a flare up at the Odyssey Arena. There was never that's an element of hockey that the Belfast Giants. Yes, we'd had Paxton having fights with Jason Bowen getting involved. We had various, but we'd never had a real sort of melee in the rink or a line brawl in the rink that sort of flared the fans into action, and that was one that sticks. And I know myself, Davy, Simon, many who were around on that day. I know our good friend Neil, the coach Russell. You bring it up, and it's all it's things like that stick in the memory with the Belfast Giants, and you are very much part of that.
Yeah. Yep. I do remember it. I don't remember all the details, but. Definitely.
Davey remembers every detail. If you want to details, he can break it down for you, right. Punch by punch.
Yep. He's got stats on how many punches we're throwing and everything. He's got all that on there.
Actually, I know you go on about the fighting in the game. Obviously, Paxton was badly hurt that night. He was sucker punched by Barry Nycar. Nycar stripped his whole kit off and suckered Paxton from behind. And there was a whole lot of build up then. I think it might have been New Year's Eve or 30th of December. The next time Nottingham were in town, it was like 2 months later. And there was an 8-week build-up, Paxton getting fit again, and Nycar's going to have to answer the bell. And he did. It center ice, and he turtled on Paxton. Get him a couple on the way down. But all great memories. All great memories.
Yeah, for sure. Paxton was a character also, obviously. Still is, I'm sure.
Oh, he is.
Take us just one thing. Sorry, go on, Seth. You go for it. I've got questions, but you go for it.
I'm literally just looking back. As I say, when you look at the roster for your first year in Belfast, and it was full of characters. We had Wardy on last week for a 15-minute chat. We asked him two questions. 45 minutes later, he's still talking. The only reason we had to cut it out was my battery on my laptop was about to go dead. And Wardy was still talking away. I think we're probably going to have to do a show on our own with McCollum Ward. But you look back at some of the characters that you had in the room there. Obviously, you talk about Colin Ward, you talk about Paxton Schulte, Jeff Hode, but even now, living in Belfast, you still have Rob Stewart, who's still involved with the club. He's been a player, he's been assistant coach, he's been a head coach, he's now back to assistant coach. You'll have the likes of Shane Johnson, who's still living in Northern Ireland, Jason Bowen still living in Northern Ireland. The following year with Steve Thornton come in, he's now the head of hockey. But obviously, it's all about the characters that you had in the room in that time. And going on the road for 22 games, that does build that camaraderie that, I've been involved in hockey for a long, long time myself and been on the road, never for a 22-game road trip. But that must have helped glue that together for the season.
Yeah, for sure. Never had anything like that before. Obviously, won't ever have anything like it again. But yeah, you're right. It gives everybody a good chance to meet each other, know that spend a lot of time together, maybe sometimes more than you want. And 22-game road trip would only happen in that instance where, obviously there was no other option. And it didn't help set us up for, a great playoff stretch, but it was great. It was great. Again, that group of players, again, all Western Canadian players. I mean, it was awesome on the flip side, like great having all that time together.
Let's have a quick chat about your final game for the Belfast Giants that took place at the NIC in Nottingham, the playoff final against the London Knights. Now, from that game, Shane Johnson gets a lot of the plaudits, 2 goals in that game, but on 47 seconds, Kory Karlander scores the opener. What are your memories of that match?
I do remember scoring a wraparound goal in that match. That was against Sheffield, correct?
No, London Knights.
London Knights. Okay, yes, because another ex-Griffin, the captain of their team, was a captain for the Grand Rapids Griffins, and right now he's slipping my mind. His name's slipping my mind, but I do remember it. I remember getting a goal, and it was a wraparound goal, and I remember just my first season with the Giants. I had a really good regular season. But then we fell short in the playoffs, and that second season with them winning that championship, it was kind of the opposite. I didn't have great stats in the regular season, but I believe led the team in scoring in the playoffs and winning the championship, and that was really special as well for all of us.
Winning trophies of organizations, I'm sure, is a very special thing and sort of bonds you to the players that were there. And it seemed that, and as Simon said, a lot of the players involved in that game are still around. But then when we look back and you look at like in the semi-final against Sheffield, which went to penalty shots, and it was Louis Real who scored the winner. And these players, do you still hear from any of them? Do you still talk to any of them? Do you still are you, like, say, do championships like that tie you to these players?
Yes, it just now, we're in different countries. We got together, I forget how many years ago, if it was 3 years ago or more like 4 or 5, but I got together with Killer, Wardo. Wardo was in Calgary. Killer was maybe right in Belfast, if not in the UK. I know he was in the UK, so it was Ward, Killer, Paxton wasn't, but we did some sort of recorded deal, but then we off the air, off the recording, we got a chance to catch up for probably upwards of an hour, and that was really cool. Nice. Again, I don't remember exactly when that was, but it was here in the last handful of years for sure.
So what's happening with Kory now? What's your involvement in hockey? We see the Karlander Cup named after you, and is it the Pinch Puck or Hockey League or whatever? And what are you doing with yourself with this Fox Motors Hockey Club?
Well, when I retired, I was actually looking into State Farm insurance, and then an arena and an association just down the road from us in Holland had lost their hockey director, another ex-Grand Rapids Griffin teammate of mine, Travis Richards, and him and Mike Slobodnik had come together and purchased Southside Ice Arena. And so I was a hockey director in Holland for 2 years, and then actually Travis Richards and his partner, Mike Slobodnik, who purchased that arena together, hired me, and this is my 9th season with Fox Motors and Travis and Mike, who are also the owners of the arena. So it's all things youth hockey, from helping out with IP programs to weekend power skates to coaching 2 different teams. That's been my full-time job now for upwards of 11 years.
And is this the Karlander Cup? Explain this to us. What's happening here?
Is that it? I'm not. Yeah. And so that was pretty cool. So that happened without me knowing about it, and it was these guys that they played out of arena in northern Detroit. And they reached out to our play-by-play radio guy, Mike Meduno, about wanting to, hearing that I had played and the length of time that I played. And they had this cup made from the same place that made the Stanley Cup. And had no idea about it until the final game which ended up being my last professional game. They retired a Punch Kick Hockey League jersey, and they had the cup there, but it was literally just the cup. And now they've built onto it, but they named it the Kory Karlander Cup, and
fantastic.
Retired my number. And yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, but it was pretty cool.
Couple more questions before we let you go, Kory. First of all, you're Canadian, you're Western Canadian, but you've got such ties to Michigan. You were NCAA in Michigan. You got the Grand Rapids. You mentioned earlier your Uncle Al played for the Detroit Red Wings. What is it about Michigan? What ties you to there as a Canadian?
Well, I would say this. Like, I remember coming and playing my first year with the Griffins. Ended up having like a 1.5-year contract, and between the outdoor stuff, the hunting, the fishing. I mean, I grew up in Manitoba, which was for the most part, a farming province. And, it was all the cliches. You could watch it was flat, it was windy. You could watch your dog run away for 2 days. The joke was you don't need a babysitter because you can watch your kids from wherever you're at. I like my hometown, and if my parents would have said we're moving to Winnipeg because it'll be more opportunity for you, I would have told them that they were crazy. I'm never leaving my hometown. And then I got to Grand Rapids, and all the things I love to do, from play hockey to fishing and hunting and golf. It was just night and day, all the opportunity that there was, versus just coming from a real small Western Canadian town of 1,300 people. I mean, there was 20 people in my graduating class. So as soon as I got to Grand Rapids, as soon as I spent my first year there, I felt like I could see myself never moving. And thus far, that's been the case. So.
And finally, we asked this of Colin Ward last week, and you had great longevity in the game. Played 2 fantastic years here in Belfast. You played in Texas, which would be a hell of an experience. But do you miss playing the game, and what do you miss about playing the game?
Yeah, I miss mostly just the camaraderie of the team, and I think probably 9 out of 10 or more will attest to that. Just the camaraderie of the team, and that doesn't just happen overnight. I played for a lot of different clubs because I kind of bounced back and forth between the AHL level and the East Coast League level, and those bonds are just memories that you have forever, and when you go to battle, week in and week out, 2-3 times a week, I mean, that's really special. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I just felt a game against the Nottingham Panthers here.
Yeah.
One of the
that brings back a flood of memories. Holy cow. Yeah. So yeah, there's nothing like it. And the competitiveness of the sport. I played men's league for a few years after I retired, and I haven't in a long time. I probably will get back into it, but just the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into surviving and playing any kind of professional career makes those bonds that you never forget. They last forever. So for sure.
Wonderful stuff. Davey, any final comments for Kory before we let him go?
No, thanks for being a giant, Kory, and thanks for coming along to AVFTB. It's been a pleasure walking down memory lane.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys. I'll do it again in a minute, so let me know.
Kory, you're a great part of this. Go, sorry, sis.
No, Kory, thanks very much again. Obviously, I'm glad you pointed out there's only a 4-hour difference, because you probably would have been on 11:15. I forgot that our clocks went back at the weekend, and we were having a text back earlier on, and I just got absolutely lost. So we really appreciate your time, Kory. Thanks for coming on, and as I say, we're trying to reach out to the different guys throughout the season to come on and give us some memories, because it's something we look back on very fondly. And just the way we talked about 25 years of the Belfast Giants, is something that we definitely need to celebrate for sure.
Thanks for having me, guys. Like I said, I do it again. Really appreciate it.
And Kory, just one last for me is, is again, as the boy said, thank you very much for coming on. We've had some great players in this club, some great players going all the way back, and we've got a great number 10 playing for us now, but the first great number 10 was Kory Karlander, and thanks for your time playing us, and thanks for joining us this week.
Thanks a lot, Patrick. Thanks, guys.
Big thanks to Kory Karlander.
Have a great night.
I love things like that. Absolutely love things like that. Kory Karlander, we said about I kept number 10 there, but like, he was a great player for us, a great goal scorer for us, Davy, and again another great chat with one of the legends of the club.
Yeah, we're going to have to move on. That got me a bit emotional, the end of that. I mustn't be well yet. But just the end of that little interview there got me a little bit, caught me by surprise. But everything was better 20 years ago, wasn't it? Everything in life, I've got my kids now, which I'm very grateful for, my gratitude for, but having those early years in the Giants, right through the IHL days to what we are now, like it's a brilliant, being a Belfast Giants fan is one of the greatest privileges you could ever have. Feel sorry for all those other teams in the league that they don't have it.
Simon, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, do you know what? Thinking back to watching Karlander play, he was a really, really good player. We've been very, very lucky over the years to have some fantastic players play in Belfast. But he was definitely right up there. Like, I mean, we always talk about when we during COVID, we talked about, our top line, and whoever. I mean, looking back at the six guys we picked, the three front guys, Kory would happily slot in between two of those wingers and still have success. Doesn't make a difference who you picked. He was that smart a player. He basically, so he read the game very, very well. And he was a great skater as well. And as I say, we're very, very lucky to be able to have these guys on now. And thankfully, it's as Davey says, bringing back memories that you sort of forget about for bits and pieces. And I have absolutely no doubt that we could probably do an after 10 p.m. show with these guys and write a book and maybe make a movie about it. Because some of the stories that unfortunately
we might have to do that with Paxton. We might have to do that with Paxton. We might have to do that with Paxton.
No, absolutely. And some of the things that we basically can't mention on a family-friendly podcast. But I mean, there's some of the things that we've that happened as a hockey team that's just off the charts. But again, very, very lucky to have Kory Karlander, a player of his caliber, playing for us, and great to have him on for sure.
I want to know where that teal Karlander with the white name bar with the teal letters is. I'd love to see that just for a bit of nostalgia. The video where you paused at the end.
Because that's a shirt from the first season there behind me. Obviously, it's Derek Wilkinson's one, but it's not a white banner along the top.
Yes.
Is that not year 3? Is that the third season that he wore? That
might be the year, maybe the playoff year, the playoff championship year. I'll have to have a look and see. But yeah, it was some great
beautiful,
videos there.
Beautiful jersey, really beautiful jersey.
Yeah. Really enjoyed it. But a great chat and more of those. And thanks to everybody. Some brilliant interactions. Some guys sending lots of great stuff. And Kory Karlander, very much loved player. I'm going to apologize again to anybody who's been tuning in, hoping to have the Enforcer chat. I am going to push it again the next week because we've just been enjoying these chats with the Belfast Giants and
probably next season, mate.
It is what it is. Well, what I do want to talk about before we move on, we're going to hear from Johnny Kern in a second, but what I do want to talk about is obviously what's happened over the weekend, which is a remembering of Adam Johnson. It's been a year since the tragedy that took place where Adam sadly lost his life. It's hard to believe that a year has passed, but it has been a year. The remembrance that took place across the Elite League was fantastic. And it's just one of those things. Davy, I'll start with you. Do you feel it's changed the game? Do you feel that what we've learned things from what's happened, or is it just we look back with sadness?
First of all, you look back with sadness. Your thoughts are still with the family and everyone affected there with that tragic incident. What has it done for the game? I guess it has brought in certainly in our league, the mandated neck protection. See the Giants players all wearing it. The Taff has them all kitted out with the very best that he can, provide for them. And the players are all really on top of making sure that equipment's on right. I heard numerous times across the weekend, get that done up. That's came out to, get yourself sorted out there. So players are taking it very seriously. It's a debate for another, for me, mate, it's a debate for down the road when it's still a wee bit less raw. I still think when you see the emotions of their remembrance before the Coventry game, players that played with them, Austie from here, I can't remember what the guy in Coventry's name was. I apologize for that. Obviously very emotionally shook by it. Still 12 months on, still very raw with a lot of people. Players going out on that ice are probably sometimes have this in their head, and it's a very, very sad incident. And fitting that they've decided this weekend to pay tribute to him, and I assume probably tomorrow night at our home game we'll do likewise.
Simon, it is like it's hard to believe it is a year since this sadly happened. We all remember where we were and when the news came through and all of that, but it is right that we remember it.
Of course it is. No, absolutely. It's, as Davey said there, it's a tough thing for no tougher for Adam's family and friends and teammates and anybody who was in the building that night that happened. But it's one of those things that the league that took a decision to remember Adam and it's just difficult. It's even difficult to talk about now. And never met the kid and never seen him play live either because he never got the opportunity to play here in Belfast. But no, it's I think it's the right thing to do for the league. It'll still be hurting for the people in Nottingham and stuff like that as well. And our thoughts are with Adam's family and friends and the teammates, and obviously we'll recognise that tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Like I say, I'll join you in that, with regards to the Nottingham Panthers fans and the Sheffield Steelers fans who were there and people who were affected by it, and to our friends in Nottingham, likes of Pash and everybody who went through all that sort of stuff. We think about them a year on, but we mostly think of Adam's friends and family at this difficult time. Right, well, let's get back to the hockey aspect of it, gents. It's cup action for the Belfast Giants with 3 games to play. On Saturday we play Fife, and unfortunately, following his injury, the former Belfast Giant Johnny Curran now is on the coaching staff for the remainder of the season there in Kirkcaldy. I caught up with him just before we started this week's show. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good to see you again. We'd probably prefer to see you on the ice, but unfortunately it's not to be this week. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just trying to stay busy. Been out for about 3 weeks now. Surgery this week, so the road to recovery really starts in a couple of days. So that'll keep me busy.
You've been able to offer something in regards to coaching now, the Fife Flyers. It's not unfair to me to say it's not been the best this last few weeks for the Fife Flyers.
No, it's been tough. There's been a lot of injuries, a lot of performances to forget. Just hasn't been good, like you said. Hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel soon. We got some health, got some bodies. So we're trying to kind of get back to what we want to build as a team.
How do you do that? Because obviously, you believe in yourselves. Every team believes in themselves and believes that they can dig it out. And a lot of hard work will be able to do that. But, how do you keep yourself motivated? How do guys keep themselves motivated going into what you've got 3 tough games this week?
Yeah. Well, you said it, hard work. And I'm going to put my coaching hat on here and use some of that vocabulary. But guys can't kind of go off of the results to see what's going on. We want to build something every game. And I think that's going to be like the process. And guys are going to know that they're playing the right way. It felt better. And the losses that have been happening right now do not feel good. The goals we give up do not feel good. So we want to kind of get back to playing the right way, protecting our goalie, protecting our own zone, and then kind of build from there. So guys know after the game if they've done things the right way or the wrong way. So we want to start doing it the right way again.
You say you're putting your coaching hat on now. Obviously this is a sort of a route that you're taking. With regards to the coaching, how do you feel that's what sort of experience do you have to bring into that, or is this all sort of learning for you?
No, it's all learning. That's why I say coaching hat with very thin, grain of salt. But the experience in the league, I think, will go a long way. A lot of guys haven't played in this league, so I got to offer as far as the schedule, as far as results, not to panic, this and that. And then the coaching side is just give Tom another set of eyes and kind of someone for him to bounce opinions off of or anything. I'm not making any big decisions or anything, but it's certainly I think I'm helping a little bit.
There's a man with a lot of experience for you to draw from, is Tom Killen.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. He's got stories, he's got experience, and
he knows that.
Yeah, you guys all know. You get probably one question per interview because he's gonna go. But a lot to learn from him. So I'm hoping to learn in a better kind of environment right now. It's been sad in the Fife camp, but hopefully things will get better.
It's quite a diverse roster you've got, drawn from east and from west. What's the atmosphere like in that? How are these guys? Because let's just say Kirkcaldy's not the most metropolitan of places to come and to fly in and to play in. How are these guys settling in and to be part of that?
Yeah, everyone's good actually. The locker room's a lot of fun. Tom's recruited a great group of guys. So as far as communication, it's not a problem. Kirkcaldy's not, like you said, it's not buzzing, but we get to Edinburgh enough, and you know what, like we do our training. Guys don't need to be entertained 24/7. So there's enough here to kind of keep us going. And as far as that, it's a good group of guys.
And one of the things you said just a minute ago is you've got that experience within the Elite League, and that is vital, especially, obviously Tom's come into his second season in the Elite League, and he in the first season he was learning a lot of the intricacies, not least the travel and the scheduling, which he brought up on a number of occasions. But you're able to bring that, you've got a wealth of experience in this league that you're able to bring into that locker room, and some of the guys who are coming in as new, you're able to give that to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of put a different perspective on it. I'm naturally a positive guy, but guys don't know that, driving down to Cardiff, driving down to Nottingham, they're big games, but you know what, like they're results that aren't going to destroy us at the end of the year, but we do have to find our form for some other teams that are going to be kind of in our ballpark for the standings. So a lot of guys don't know that part about the league, where I feel like it's a lot like baseball with games back and stuff, where you got to take advantage of certain parts of the schedule. So I think to offer that can help their mindset too.
Fantastic. How are you feeling for? Obviously, it's one game at a time, but the Belfast game is on this Saturday at the SSE Arena. How are you guys feeling coming into the SSE?
Yeah, I think guys are excited. Obviously, there's some nice rinks in this league that guys haven't experienced. Like you said, guys from playing in more Eastern leagues, they don't get to play in the big barns like that. So that'll be a good experience. Pretty sure it's a cup game, right? So that's
yes.
I think mathematically we might be in it, but if Glasgow gets a point, we're done. So like I said, kind of looking for more of a process. We're going into Sheffield, want to kind of build our game there, and then go into Belfast and continue to kind of build it. And then hopefully Sunday, a really good performance against Nottingham.
Well, good luck against Sheffield. I'll say that much. And thanks for joining us, Johnny. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Big thanks to Johnny Curran. That was done at quite short notice, so we appreciate him taking the time to come and chat to us back here on A View from the Bridge. The 3 games in the next week, of course, Wednesday night against the Clan, 7 p.m. At home, Fife at home, 7 p.m. on Saturday, and Dundee at home, 4 p.m. on Sunday. All the SSE Arena. You can get your tickets, or if you can't get down to the game, you watch them on Giants TV. Says, as I always ask, how these games looking ticket-wise? Are we... because I think it's like, who was I chatting to? It was our good friend Anthony Russell, who'd been on the show, and he was asking about how there was a discussion about the NIHL and how tickets have been selling. I was asking about how we were selling tickets in Belfast, and my comment to him was that traditionally the sort of September October time we don't sell much, but come December we do, and that's sort of been flipped on its head. We are like, people are coming, and they're coming in big numbers.
Hopefully it hasn't been flipped in his head, because we want to sell out in December as well.
Yeah.
But 3 games in a week, it's going to look, for any club anywhere in the world, it's tough to sell out the full 3 games in a row. But it's Halloween game tomorrow night. With Halloween, around that time of the year.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see what the crowd is, and we're expecting upwards of 4,500 to 5,000, and at the end of the weekend as well. I know it's really going well for the tickets at the weekend. But listen, we're very, very lucky that we have such a great fan base that basically keep on coming out and supporting us and buying the tickets for the games. So it's long may it continue, and it's all about tomorrow night. That's the one that people need to get to, and hopefully, as I say, they come out and support us tomorrow night against Glasgow Clan. Looking for revenge against the Glasgow Clan in that game Wednesday at 7, and then, as Johnny, who chatting there, Johnny Curran, Fife Saturday at 7 at the SSE, and then Dundee are back in town. All cup games Sunday at 4 p.m. If you can't get down to it, of course, you can get it on Giants TV. Halloween, we don't celebrate Halloween in this house, mate. It's my 10th wedding anniversary, so I've got to do something. Worthwhile on Thursday night. But yes, any other business, boys? I do. Obviously, it was announced today. I don't know if you've got the information there about the birthday party, the birthday celebration for 25 seasons, 25 years, on the 2nd of December. And we've got so many new fans, and the 25th of December, 25th year on the 2nd of December is the first date that we played at the SSE Arena. So that's why we chose that date. It's going to be a brilliant event at the W5. We held an event there last year for season ticket holders. This is going to be, completely different than what that was. There's going to be some special guests coming in. The players will all be there, obviously, the coaching staff. And it's all about, remembering our history and some of the little bits and pieces. I don't want to give out too much away, but some of the things that we're planning for that event itself is something that, again, will show the history over the 25 years. And I know that there's a few of the guys in the arena that have put so much work into getting this up and running and making sure the event is a success. And even the likes of the little goodie bag that they're going to be given is there's some very, very unique items that are going to be in that goodie bag that are they're not going to be on sale in the merchandise stall. They're not going to be on sale at the OSC desk or anything like that. This is something that you can only get if you come to the event itself. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. Obviously, we get all these games upcoming. This event is coming off the back of the Friendship 4 weekend. So ideally it would have been fantastic if the 2nd of December was a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. But unfortunately, they don't play hockey very often in Belfast on a Monday. Really looking forward to it. And the 2nd of December will be a date that we will celebrate. I think it'll be good crack. Giants season ticket holders can get pre-sale access to tickets with a link to your accounts for the event from Wednesday. So Wednesday, 30th of October at 12 p.m. Definitely get down to that. That's going to be one hell of a celebration. And fantastic. That's fantastic. Anything else, boys?
You gonna go?
Am I going to go?
You gonna go?
I'll be there.
I'm going to be there for the Friendship 4. If I can stay till the Tuesday, then I'll definitely go. But I definitely will. But it childcare thing. But so I'll let me have a chat. Let me treat Joanna for the 10th wedding anniversary on Thursday, and then I'll break it to her.
Let me treat her.
I get a feeling she might be up.
You don't have to ask her.
I'm gonna watch the comments here. I get a feeling she's watching this upstairs.
Joanna, let me speak. Let me speak. How do you do this?
Just go one screen on your own, Davy.
I'm trying to do that, but I've no idea how to do that. Says
Paddy knows how to do it. He's not helping you out here.
Single screen me there, Paddy. Single screen me. Paddy.
Okay,
come on. Single screen me. Come on.
I don't know how to single screen. Oh, no, I do know how to single screen you.
Oh, I do. Hang on.
So there you go.
Joanna, let me speak directly to you. First of all, many congratulations on your wedding anniversary. 10 years with Patrick. You need a break. And I think the best way to have that break is to send Patrick back to Belfast for the 2nd of December. He's already squared it with his boss at work. He's allowed those couple of days off, working from home, of course. And it would be just wrong for the Belfast Giants to have any sort of celebration, but like the guy that has for the last 20 years, twice as long as he's been married to you, he's been doing this podcast. So on behalf of Belfast Giants fans everywhere, Joanna, please let Patrick come to Belfast.
Let's see how that goes, mate. Thanks very much.
Try my best for you. I can do no more, mate.
Thanks, but I'll cut that.
Heartfelt plea.
Anything else, boys?
What's happened?
No, anything else?
That's really Davy. Well done, Davy. That was an excellent little fight for business. Super. Well done.
Oh, well, if that's it, boys, then we'll just sort of wrap the show up. And it's Giants against Clan on Wednesday at 7 p.m, Giants against Fife on Saturday at 7 p.m, and Giants against Dundee on Sunday at 4 p.m, all in the Challenge Cup, all at the SSE Arena. And of course, you can't get down there, as I said, Belfast Giants TV. Big thanks to Tom, to Adam, to Johnny, and of course to Kory Karlander for coming on. Big thanks as always to you two lads for everything you do on the show. Big thanks to everybody who's been sending in messages. We're getting some fantastic messages all the way through the show, from talking to Tom, talking to Adam, talking to Kory, especially a lot of really good reminiscing. Yes, at AVFTB on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. You can get us kingdomofthegiants.com. You can get us on YouTube and all the good, really good podcast providers, and that's our show. Wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey. We'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.